Are you crushing it in business but secretly burning out because you're not doing what you know you should? So stick around. By the end of this video, you'll have neuroscience-backed plans and action points to take back your time, eliminate overwhelm, and scale your business sustainably. So here's the truth. Most high-performing entrepreneurs don't struggle because they're lazy. They struggle because their mental bandwidth is maxed out by decision fatigue, self-doubt, and constant firefighting. So if it feels like you're consistently hustling harder, but you're in the same loop of self-sabotage, procrastination, overwhelm, burnout, the problem isn't your work ethic. It's your systems for thinking, prioritizing, and showing up. You're working against your brain, not with it. So here's the good news. Your brain is wired for focus and success if you know how to work with it. So let's break this down into 3 simple strategies. Now, your brain can only focus deeply for about 90 minutes at a time. So first of all, you'd want to be blocking this time out each and every day, a 90-minute slot at least once a day. No email, no Slack, just one needle mover. And this is how your brain works. Is we get the brain aroused, we start getting it focused on task. We have this 90 minutes of higher productivity. Then we have a little bit of stress, and then we need to recover. We need about a 20-minute course of effective time to break up. Now, for me, I use this as break times, lunch times. I go for walks, do a little bit of meditation, even go and do some physio for my torn hamstring as a current. But your brain has this natural peak and focus. And this is really valuable to know, especially if you're a high performer that I generally work with a couple people. So we either get high performers that don't want anything in their calendar, and we have the opposite side of things where people want everything in their calendar. So if you're similar to Justin, my client that did 57K a month in his first month, he doesn't like having anything in his calendar. So we needed to have a strategy that actually worked around his ultradian performance rhythm. So what you can actually do here is you can create a master actions list. Now, I'm going to show you mine, which is a little bit more advanced here. So one of the goals here is sign 3 clients. We know how much revenue and how much cash that has collected is going to be there. We know that we need at least 20 leads a day. We have around 45 coming in a day. We need to book 5 more demo calls. We need to meet with our team. We need to delegate things. So this is very simply all the inputs that would get us to this output goal side of the norm. And then we're going to tick off what we're doing each week. And then similar to one of my past videos, this is where we track task completion rate of what's been done and what hasn't been done. Another one is keep increasing the productivity like a motherfucker and get us to 80% task completion rate. In order to do that, I need to block more times of deep work into 1-hour blocks. I need to track task completion rate for myself, and phone screen needs to be off at 7:30 p.m. 5 times this week. We also need to improve our client onboarding and client delivery, so then we have some action items here. Now, those are not the main parts of the master actions list. This is how I stay focused and stay directed on each week. But this is what a master actions list should look like. This is a advanced to-do list where a lot of the time you don't know how long things take. But what we're doing here is we're blocking this into 90-minute blocks where we do a 90-minute block on this, I do a 90-minute block on this, 90-minute block on this, and then I know how many 90-minute blocks I actually need to do for the entire week in order to move all the needles forward on everything. So we have, for example, home tasks here. It can be simple little things like this: getting a gym membership, print my master actions list, get nice clothes, reallocate some cash flow. It could be email building. We're building out a sequence right now. It could be YouTube content, which I'm doing all of my stuff. I did all of my planning yesterday for 90 minutes, and now I'm doing a batch of content creating now for 90 minutes. We have client systems building, and we're going to do another batch there as well. And then we have the rewards for actually doing things as well. So I have some solid things. And so that's what a master actions list can look like. This is typically what we teach once people get to stage 4 of the 90-minute power planner, which is something I use every single week. In order to do that, I'll just break down the steps for you. It's pretty, we'll just get a pen here. But the first thing that you do is you mind dump all of the tasks. Then from there, you're going to set up your calendar and your master actions list. And the reason why we use just a calendar and master actions list is because it just makes it simple. You don't have to do too many things. And then 3, once you're going through your mind dump, you just go task by task, and then you just put it into each task. So that's what into each column. So that's what I do each and every week. And then I break up anything that's a little bit bigger, right? So it wasn't just like, hey, read my manifesto 3 times a day, 6 times a week. It was like, hey, do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it wasn't just read manifesto, it was 3 times a day, 6 times a week. So then that way I'm doing all my inner work. So that's strategy one, is having a master actions list, having clear goals and inputs and outputs for the week that match your circadian rhythm. And like this is exactly why Justin coming off of taking a break, he literally had that 57K a month. He took a month and a bit off for kayaking and doing all sorts of cool stuff. Came back and then, oh look, previous record was 29. He was at 53 front end and back end cash flow for that for the month. So on track for doing his 100K a month. So that's how we do it. That's strategy one. Strategy two here is making sure that you have clear awareness around what your emotions look like and what your thoughts are looking like. Why is that? Well, because what we have here in the brain is you have your amygdala. So with the amygdala, which is really the fear center of the brain. And what you want to realize with the fear center of the brain is what is it actually responsible for? So this detects danger. The amygdala is the part of the brain where you automatically trigger danger, things that aren't part of the norm. It helps you also control emotions, so motivation, memory. It also helps you process sensory information, so all the things that are going on in and out of your world. Now, why is that important? Because if you have limiting thoughts that don't serve you, you will burn out. Why? Because you're not doing what you know you should be doing. And if you're not doing what you know you should be doing, then of course that's going to limit you, right? Because you're not getting things done as much as you can. So I wanted to break down a little bit of what your thoughts can actually look like. So this is directly from some of my client trainings, but there are 10 types of automatic negative thoughts, and they all have an impact. So you have all or nothing thinking, which is like, if I can't close 5 sales, I'm a terrible entrepreneur. If I can't scale to 100K a month, then I'm a failure. If I don't close this deal, my entire month will be a failure. Like I said, if this campaign doesn't go viral, it's pointless to even try. If my team doesn't execute this task perfectly, I'll have to do everything myself. This comes from a false identity, so internalized beliefs that you might not be valuable or you might not be enough. And this is the entrepreneur's bane, the all or nothing approach, the black and white thinking. There's no middle ground to this. The second is focusing on the negative, where you have as much achievements as to everybody else, everything seems successful, but you're still downplaying your achievements. You're still telling yourself that it's not good enough. And the root cause of this is a blend of false identity as well as resistance to expansion. You may be fear celebrating wins because it feels unfamiliar or too good to be true. Kind of like wearing glasses that highlight weeds but blur out the flowers. So that's that. Another type of negative thought is fortune telling, and it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy since what you focus on expands. So this happens a lot with money. You would have seen this with, you might have been at one point in this point in your life, or you might be going through a little season now where you're thinking about the money that's going out and you're thinking about all the places that it's going out rather than all the places it's coming in and all the ways that you could generate more cash flow. And that's because you're fortune telling. You're focusing on the worst thing that could possibly happen. So no one will buy my program if I increase the price. This pitch is going to fail. I just know it. No one will buy from me. This coaching program's not going to work, just like all the other ones, like whatever, right? Um, so the next one is blaming, where you turn yourself into a powerless victim of circumstance, where everything and anything isn't your fault. And it crushes teams and businesses because nobody takes responsibility. The business crashes. So if my VA had done their job better, this wouldn't have happened. If my setter was better, if my sales team was better, then we would have grown. If that agency hadn't done this, then I would be in a better position. If the government hadn't shut down this, if there wasn't something going on in some kind of wild country, then I would be in a better place. It's like blaming the storm as the captain of the ship that you are instead of steering the ship. Mind reading is thinking, my team thinks I'm incompetent because I forgot to follow up. That client hasn't replied. They must hate my offer. This prospect hasn't replied. They must think I'm too pushy. My team probably thinks I'm a terrible leader. My peers are probably judging me for not scaling faster. I used to have some of these myself. But this is mind reading. You've got the if only and I'll be happy when. This can be, by the way, past focused and future focused because you might have thought, you might have been in a situation where, oh yeah, it was just so much easier when I was doing this. Oh, it was so much easier when I was like here. But it's just a false reality because you're here now because you weren't happy there. So it's the same here. It's like, I'll be happy when I hit 20K a month, not before. I'll be happy when I do 100K a month, but not before. It's like chasing a rainbow that's always one step out of reach. Labeling, overgeneralizing one trait or failure as your entire identity. I'm terrible at delegation, so I'll never scale. I'm bad with numbers, so I can't handle my business finances. I'm terrible at closing deals, I'll never be good at it. I'm not a creative person, marketing will always be hard for me. I'm not a morning person, so I'm not a good entrepreneur. Right? Wearing a certain thing, a name tag as failure, and then it won't take off. Should statements. I should be further ahead by now. I should know what I'm doing right now. I shouldn't be getting burnt out. I should be a better leader. All of these thoughts lead to negative emotions. Taking things personally. Oh, that client left because I'm a bad coach. Or my partner set a boundary. It must be because they don't like me. Or like I see this that was present for me in my past. So these are the business focus, but remember these can come back into your life as well. And we have generalizing and catastrophizing. I always mess up with sales calls. I'll never get a client. Delegating never works for me. If this launch fails, my business is doomed. If I take a break, you'll notice that some of these all interchange across the other. And the reason being because they are all negative thoughts. And why does this happen? Because your amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing fear, becomes super active when you're in stressful situations, which can trigger the fight or flight response. You can also have hormone surges, which is when activated, the body releases stress-like hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, which lead to a change in how you think, including your focus, heightened alertness, and difficulty with complex thinking. This, you could also say, hey, that person just got triggered, right? You could have a negativity bias because when you're in fight or flight mode, your brain tends to focus more on negative stimuli and potential threats, leading to negative thoughts and interpretations of situations. So what this could look like is overthinking a minor issue. So when a small problem triggers a massive negative thought spiral, you could feel overwhelmed by all the options of coaches or funnels or marketing or ways to handle things or just all of the things going on in your life. Like you're like, where do I start? You could feel overwhelmed by options and unable to think clearly due to stress response. You could ruminate a lot where you get stuck on negative thoughts and replay stressful events repeatedly. That's also how you get depressed and anxious, by the way. You could also have tunnel vision where let's go make that go away, where you focus excessively on a single aspect of a situation while ignoring all the other important details. So that can be what happens when your amygdala's triggered. So that's why you need to be aware of your thoughts and to change them. Or you need to have, the next one is you need to have someone read the label for you. Now, what does that mean? Imagine you are a pot of jam and you are in this jam, you're the jam itself, and I'm using some, I think it's called onomatopoeia, where this jam is, it now has a brain, right? Bear with me. But you cannot read the label if you are inside the jar. And you're thinking, oh, okay, but Luke, what do you mean? I mean, you need to have a layer of accountability, someone to check you for your actions each and every week. Even the best athletes in the world have people monitoring their nutrition, monitoring their exercise, monitoring their sleep. And you might think, oh yeah, Luke, it's all right though. Like I can hustle. I remember working in a big business partnership and them saying, yeah, it doesn't really matter if I don't sleep that much. I'm still able to operate well. And I saw the dismay and the fear and the anxiety of how their team used to feel because of how dysregulated the CEO was all the time. And you might think, Luke, well, it's like, it's not that bad. Like, if I don't sleep that much, let me show you. So I put this together. If you are experiencing overwhelm and a lack of clarity because you self-sabotage your sleep, you have a reduced cognitive function and brain fog and up to 40% memory loss. So what impact does that have? You can't prioritize tasks, leading to avoidance, content delays, delays on doing your different systems in your business that you need to be, a lack of strategic planning. You feel mentally cluttered, constantly behind, and overwhelmed with ideas, but unable to execute. Now, another problem, self-sabotage and procrastination. Sleep deprived individuals make 30% more errors in high stakes decision making, according to the Sleep Foundation, which means you have weakened impulse control and focus and increased distractions. This leads to delays in outreach, sales calls, procrastinating, wasting time on low impact tasks, and you feel guilty and frustrated, which reinforces the cycle of avoidance and inaction. Another problem, emotional overload and anxiety. This is because lack of sleep is linked to 50% higher risk of depression and anxiety. So overreacting to client objections, market dips, content engagement, leading to inconsistent business decisions. So more irritability and emotional reactivity. And I know this because before I got my coach to help me out with this, I was sleeping 3 to 5 hours a night whilst traveling in Brazil. I remember them saying, "Oh yeah, I think you should go and meditate and spend some time in nature." And as soon as I meditated, I literally passed out on the beach for 3 hours because I was so sleep deprived. Another one is poor routines and a lack of structure. People who sleep less than 6 hours per night experience 2 times higher rates of burnout. So you're saying, Luke, why am I burning out and not doing what I need to be doing? Because you're probably not sleeping, because you self-sabotage yourself, right? You have low energy, you have difficulty forming habits, you have inconsistent execution, you can't stick to routines, which lead to inconsistent productivity and a lack of momentum. And you try to reset routines, but you never follow through, so you feel out of control. Maybe it also leads to overachievement pressure and fear of stagnation because you have reduced dopamine regulation. Because CEOs who sleep less than 6 hours per night are reportedly 23% lower on performance ratings. So you might feel stuck at an income ceiling of 10 to 30K a month because you don't have clarity or systems to scale. And no matter how much you achieve, you never feel like it's enough, which leads to constant workaholism. Another thing you might have is financial anxiety and fear of failure. And this is because sleep deprivation increases cortisol levels, which makes financial decision making harder. So you delay hiring the right people, you delay investing in ads, you delay scaling an operation. You might still be in this solopreneur burnout mode, and you're constantly stressed about money, which leads to insomnia and exhaustion. So the things go on here, and you're thinking, okay, but Luke, why are you highlighting that? Because I had a conversation with my friend Ro, and he was a sales setter and closer, and then managed the sales team and the sales department at a 1.2 million a month business. And do you know what one of the main things was that he was struggling with? Sleep and routine. So I don't care how successful you think you are, if you're struggling with your sleep and routine because you're self-sabotaging, because you're not having somebody read the jar, read the label, and just say, hey, you're struggling with this, we need to fix it, then no wonder you're not where you want to be right now. But imagine what would be possible if you actually had somebody hold you accountable to it. And I got these data points up as well, which says just the knowledge of the possibility of impending accountability check-ins increases positive behaviors by 50%. Virtual weekly accountability check-ins conducted by skilled facilitators more than doubles adherence to plans to achieve goals. Accountability is so powerful because it's an evolutionary trait that has evolved over millions of years, hand in hand with self-awareness and our ability to self-regulate, which gives human beings the unique ability to dominate the planet. So imagine what would be possible if you dialed in your sleep, if you stopped self-sabotaging, you had someone to read the jar to say, hey, dude, are you sleeping right now? Hey, are you doing these tasks that you know you should be doing? Are you doing, do you have a solid routine in place? Hey, are you checking your thoughts right now? Hey, are you breaking your tasks up and making a master actions list each week? If you don't have those, then you are significantly underperforming and not reaching your potential, and you don't have the structures and systems in place in order for you to eliminate burnout. But imagine what's possible if you did. Now, for me, I just like to wake up where I immediately wake up and I just get going and I know exactly what I want to do each and every day. And this is the same. And this is why we have an accountability channel within neuroproductivity, because then my clients can actually bump in when they're actually doing things and when they're not doing things. And we have the accountability check-ins as well. So I'll be on your ass if you're not moving. So in the same kind of statement, like have a think about where are you actually missing things right now? Like, do you have a master actions list? Do you have a way to process your thoughts each and every day? Not just once a week, not just one and done, but like regularly doing it. Do you have somebody that can read the label on your jar, and then hold you to a high standard of accountability. Not just a friend, not just your business mate that you met at a networking event, but somebody that you actually have time, energy, and sometimes even finances committed to. The best accountability people that I've had in place have always been financial. So, with that said, we're going to close out today's session. I hope this helps you figure out why you're burning out because you don't realign your thoughts, you're not adjusting on your sleep, you have poor patterns, and because ultimately you know that you can be a better version of yourself, but you just don't have one of these three things in place. So with that said, I'm going to close this one out and I will see you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.